Guys, happy Monday. Welcome. It is February 24th, so the last Monday of the month, which is insane. We are like cruising into March, cruising out of the first quarter of the year. Just absolutely incredible. So I am going to jump right in and I'm going to just do some quick announcements. The first thing I want to highlight is that it is still Team Cup month. There are still 5 days left in the month. Um, do not go on cruise control. Do not take your foot off the gas pedal. You guys, if you have not reached your goals yet, there's still plenty of time. One of the biggest things that I see, coaches do, and the worst thing that we could do to self-sabotage ourselves is to get defeated when it comes to the end of the month. So keep going, keep pushing, and just do not give up and keep going into March, okay? The other thing that I wanted to, and just when you guys pop on, just make sure you mute yourselves, okay? The other thing that I wanted to touch upon is the fact that the summit tickets are on sale. Again, through the 29th, they're going to be $170. You guys, this will not get any cheaper. It is going to probably just keep continuing to creep up as we get closer to summit. So if you have been thinking about summit, get your ticket, okay? I know that I purchased my husband's last month, so just make sure that you don't sit and wait on that and make that happen as well. And then the last thing that I wanted to say is that we do have our qualification, our Emerald and Diamond Retreat is March 12th. So again, all the more reason to keep pushing through the rest of this month. So the qualifications for that again are if you are an Emerald coach or you hit Emerald by the 12th, or if you are an Emerald coach that you hit Success Club in January and February. As well as going into March, and then, or you rank advanced to Diamond by March 12th. You enter Diamond qualifications by March 12th. Okay, so let me share my screen and run through our leaderboard. So we have changed a total of 23 lives. Oh my God, let me not click on this and ruin it. Okay, we've changed a total of 23 lives so far. Okay, I am at the top with Success Club 10. Jordan also is Success Club 10. Alex, Success Club 8. And then we have Shannon and Ashley who have secured Success Club so far. So we are doing something I started last month is I am doing a monthly Success Club prize. Last month was headbands. This month is scrunchies like the one that I am wearing tonight. So if you hit Success Club this month, you will be getting a scrunchie in the mail from me. So just a little extra incentive, something I wanted to do for you guys. Our coach of the week this week is Shannon, and she is also our top producer. So that means top producer, you guys, that means that her team is bringing in a lot of volume. So you and your downline, that means people are purchasing their superfoods, Energize, etc. So that's a huge thing to aim for. 500 PV or more a month is kind of what you want to shoot for. And our top recruiter this week is Jordan. So I'm super pumped. I know that there is a lot of time to make moves, that this board is going to change over the next 5 days. So do not get discouraged. And if you are over here, there's still plenty of time to get to the other side, okay? So let me introduce our guest speaker tonight. We have Natasha. I am so excited for this call because I actually found Natasha on our Northeast page, something that I honestly, to be truthfully honest, I don't go in there enough, but at the end of the year, I was looking through all the people that had advanced their business, hit Premier, hit Elite, and I saw Natasha and I went to her page and I honestly just felt like, all right, this woman's a badass. And I reached out to her, and especially having talked to her since and really getting to understand who she is and what her team has accomplished this last year and everything that she's going through, I really wanted her to come speak to us tonight. She is a busy busy person. She actually just underwent a new home renovation. She's a mom, and she hit elite this last year. So she's going to share with us tonight more about mindset, her best practices, her best tips of what she recommends that each of us can do and go apply into our own business. So I'm going to stop rambling and I'm going to let her take it away and tell her story and share all her wisdom. Oh my God, I'm going to mute myself.
All right. Hi, everyone. So, am I really echoey? Everywhere I go, it's a little bit crazy. So I might move here. I'm hearing myself, so it's distracting. So I'm Natasha. We are currently undergoing a home renovation, hence this back here. So my house is a little insane and it's empty. So it is very echoey everywhere. I can't find anywhere that's not. So I apologize for that. But yeah, so I think I'm gonna just kind of share a little bit of my story, and then, you know what, I'm gonna get up and move because this is driving me nuts. Let me move back here into the other room. I should have like tested it before I got started. Oop, I'm pushing buttons with my notepad. Okay, I'm gonna walk out here. Plus my daughter is upstairs in the tub and you can hear everything she's saying. So I apologize. Give me 1 second. Oh, I don't know how to work everything in this is our new master suite. You guys are getting a tour of my house right now. Give me 1 second. I apologize. Okay, then there's light. That was good. And the ceiling fan's on, and I don't want that, but that's okay. I don't know how to work it yet. So, again, I'm Natasha. Is that better? I feel like it sounds better now. Okay. So I'm going to just share a little bit of my story, and then really I had spoke on another team call, I don't even remember when it was, a couple weeks ago, a month ago or so. And I was asked to give 3 tips that if somebody was trying to build a successful business where they could potentially leave their full-time job, what would you say? What were the top 3 things? So I'm going to give you those at the end. But my story kind of ties into all of them, so I want to share a little bit of it. And honestly, I feel like sometimes the tips and things that we can give you've probably heard before. But I always feel like when I can relate to the person in the story, it sometimes is a little bit more meaningful to me. So that's why I'm going to start with that. So basically, my story goes, I have a 7-year-old daughter. But about, at the point she was 2 years old, I was like still struggling postpartum. 2 years later, I had 0 confidence. I wasn't happy with myself. I had really struggled postpartum with anxiety. I was still struggling. And I had gone to a health screening at my work and my cholesterol was rising. And I was like, I just had no energy. I just wasn't the mom I wanted to be. I wasn't the role model I wanted to be. And so I decided I needed to do something. And so my history before that, I was an athlete growing up. I liked to go to the gym. The gym was the place that you got results. And I didn't want to work out at home. My husband, on the other hand, had been working out at home doing this P90X program for like multiple years. And I was like, rolling my eyes at it. I didn't think it worked. Even though he was getting results, like I still didn't think it worked. And I wanted to go to the gym. But I also, if anyone's a mom, which I know some of the women from my team are on here and we're all mostly moms, I think, mom guilt is a thing. And so I didn't want to leave my daughter all day long. I was a school counselor, so I was working, full time. At that point in time, I was driving about a 45-minute commute one way. And so I didn't want to leave her or drop her off at the disgusting gym daycare that we have, and, go to the gym and miss more time with her. And so I knew I needed to figure something out. And I just decided, you know what, I'm going to do this stupid in-home workout program. It's probably not going to work. I'm probably not going to get any results. I think a lot of people have the same story. And I was like, but I'm going to try it because I don't really have any other options. So It was P90X3, not P90X, because I probably would have died and never finished it. But it was P90X3. I jumped in. I started to feel, as we all know how it goes, you start to feel great. But I was doing it on my own. I didn't know that there were coaches. Well, that's kind of a lie. I knew there was something like a coach because my husband had some man that like reached out to him and put him in a Facebook group, but he didn't really know what it was, and I didn't really know what it was. So I was just doing it on my own. So I got through all of P90X3 on my own. And we know as coaches that that's not something that a lot of people do, right? You fall off the wagon because you don't have accountability. But somehow I got through it. And as I was getting through it, I decided to do it again. And a friend of mine from graduate school was running this accountability group, and I knew she was doing a Beachbody workout. By that point in time, I had researched Beachbody a little bit. I knew that there were coaches and things like that. I knew there were other programs, but I wasn't going to buy another program. I had P90X3 already. That was back in DVD time. In case you guys are new coaches, we used to have to watch DVDs to do workout programs, which is just crazy to think about. Yep. Yeah, Hillary, you started with a DVD set. I think actually a lot of people did. So anyway, so she was doing this accountability group, and it's all these other moms who are trying to get healthy and doing it together. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll join, but like, I'm not buying anything. I'm definitely not buying that Shakeology. I'm not buying another program. I don't need anything. I was that person. So I always like to use that as a reminder that there are a lot of me out there, and they'll come around someday. Right. And so I joined her. She let me join her group anyway. So I joined, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. And as a school counselor, I was like, I could totally facilitate these groups. I'm a counselor. I facilitate groups all the time. And that might be something that's kind of cool. But she never talked to me about the business opportunity. So let that be just a moment to sit with, a teaching moment. She never, ever once said, hey, you should coach. You would be a good coach. You're showing up on your journey. You should do this too. You should do this with me. Never once. And so around that time, I got a friend request from my now coach, who was an instructional teacher, support teacher at our cyber school. And I didn't really know her. I knew her name through emails. I worked in a cyber school at that time. And I saw her start to post. She was posting a lot about this business opportunity that there was with coaching. And back then you said Beachbody, you said Shakeology, you like put everything out there because that's just what we did back in the day. And so I knew she was with Beachbody, and I went to a sneak peek kind of group. It was something called something totally different back then. And I joined as a coach like that same week. With Shakeology and a new program, go figure, right? Because I knew it wasn't really the business that sold me at that point in time, but it was the fact that everyone kept saying this will keep you so accountable. And I finally was feeling so good that I knew I was scared to death that I would fall off the wagon again, because I'd done it so many times in my life. And so that's initially why I joined to coach. And then I started a challenge group, and I let everyone join me. I didn't care what program they were doing. I let everyone join me. It wasn't like challenge pack only, because that's what I had been allowed into. And then I saw that I then turned into a business building coach. And so yeah, basically from there, very quickly, I think as most people do, I saw that there was a business opportunity that was pretty insane. I was a burnout school counselor. I had been a counselor for about 10 years at that point in time. And I was really, really sick of not feeling like I was making an impact, which is really sad, but unfortunately, it's a lot of education anymore. And, it's so political, so sad. And I love that I was helping women to get results instead of like being in a counseling situation with elementary students who, is anybody an educator? No? Yeah. Yeah. So you're sending the kids home to an environment that you don't control, so you don't ever see change. It was really defeating. But here I was working with adults who I could actually help them to change their life. And I was getting thank yous from people that like, you never get an education. And I just really quickly saw there was a business opportunity. And so I dove in, and I can skip into these tips. This all kind of ties into these tips. So I dove in, and I knew from day one I wanted to work this business full time. And so my 3 tips, I'm going to go kind of into them and tie them back into my story as I go. But I I was very, very, very focused from minute one of getting out of that job. As soon as I saw there was potential, and I watched my upline leave her teaching job then within the next year, and I watched another coworker leave her teaching job within that same year, I knew that that was something that I was going to do, and that I had to show up in this business consistently. And my team, some of the women from my team are on here, that is like the word that they probably get so sick of hearing me say, but consistency, consistency, consistency is key. And I knew that. I knew, just like anything, just like going to college, just like being on your own wellness journey, you have to be consistent to be successful at anything. And so that ties into my very first business tip that I give you. You have to treat your business with the integrity that you treat your full-time job. And so to me, this is how I did that. I knew I wanted to leave my full-time job. But it's really, really easy to show up for your full-time job because 1, you know what you're getting paid every week, right? 2, you have a boss telling you you have to. If you don't do those things, you lose your job. This business is different. You have to have your own business integrity. You have to have a reason to show up, which is another thing I'm going to get into. But I knew that I needed to set structure around my business or that it wasn't going to work and I wouldn't show up consistently. So I know, do a lot of you work still? Like work full-time or part-time? Okay. So what I did, because everyone's always like, how did you do it while you worked full-time? And so not only did I work full-time, actually, I worked a second job. I was doing adoption and permanency work after school. After I got off of work at my school. And my daughter was 2 and she was almost 3 at that point in time. And my husband was a realtor. So he worked all the time. Like he was working 70 hours a week at that point in time because he was trying to get his realtor his name, he was new. He was trying to get off the ground with that business. And so we were crazy busy. So what I had to do, I couldn't just be like, you know what, in the evenings I'll work this business, because I was unwilling to give up my time with my daughter because that's who I was building this business for. And I didn't want to give up time with my husband either. And so I woke up every morning an hour early. And so I know a lot of people are like, the early thing, but 1 hour. And that hour was so focused because I knew I had an hour. I didn't have 4 hours. I actually said the last time I was talking about this, I said, you know what? Sometimes I think I get just as much done in 6 hours now than I did in that 1 hour because I can like wander in my house and do whatever I want or go get coffee with somebody. But then I had an hour. And so in that hour, what did I do? Every morning I started my day with affirmations and with gratitude. And that's huge to me. I still do it every single day. I write out 3 things I'm grateful for. And then I write out 3 things I'm grateful for in the future as if they've already happened. That's something my coach taught me to do. And it's something I teach my team to do. I think gratitude's huge. And I also think the coolest part of that is that you can go back then and see that things actually happen that you wrote about in the future. I did that. I talked to my team one night on a call and I pulled out my first book and all these things I have now. And that is so, so powerful. So I started my day with that. And then I did the things that move your business forward: inviting, following up, responding to your messages. Honestly, back then, we posted 3 to 5 times a day on social media, which was awful. So be thankful that you don't have to do that now. But I would draft my first post. It was something horrible, like, hey, I'm having a shake. Like, it was literally just that, because we were just told to get out there 3 to 5 times a day. Like content, how you're probably taught to post now, 1 time a day, a good, thoughtful, post was not how we were taught to post back in the day. I've been a coach for 4 years, so it's not that long, just so you know. But that's how I started my day. I got those vitals done that I needed to get done. My lunch break, I never went to lunch with my coworkers. I decided that I didn't want to be in the negativity anyway. So I sat at my cubicle, and I was in a cyber school at that point in time, and I worked. I would, respond to any messages I had. I would draft probably another post. Or even write up my post for the evening too. I try to get stuff done during my day so I didn't take away from my family in the evening. And then almost every afternoon, if it was nice, we walked outside. And so I would get out and I would walk, but I would walk with my phone and I would talk to people and I would be messaging and talking to people. So really the majority of what I was doing during the day was talking to people, because that is that's what's business building, that's what's income producing, and those were the things I knew I needed to do. I didn't spend any time making graphics. I didn't do anything like that because I didn't care about that stuff. I didn't have time for that. My upline, as I'm sure, Amy provides to you guys, like tons of resources for challenge groups and different things like that. Like, it was done already, and I'm not a big, like, why recreate the wheel, right? So that's what I spent my time in. And then I would come home and I would pick up my daughter. If I wasn't working my other job, I would come home, get my workout in right away, and she would be there, running around with me. And then I would try to disconnect. And I say try because we all know it can be hard, but I really try to set my business hours. And then in the evening, I would, if we had a call, I would jump on, or if I needed to do some more, messages or send links. It wasn't even share cards back then either. I would do those things then. And that's typically what my day looked like. And then if I needed to work some on the weekends, I would give myself a few hours to try to do that, when I could. So it's so important, though, that you set those business hours, because one thing that can be a huge struggle for any coach, is not just a new coach, but any coach, is you can work this business 24/7 and there is no damn need to ever, because there's nothing urgent in this business. If you're in a season of push, so when I say that, I mean, like, if you're pushing to hit a big goal and you need to hit it by this Wednesday night, that's different. When we were pushing for Elite in November, some of the women on my team who were in it with me, we were working. Like, I was working for probably, I don't even know, all night, late night, for like multiple weeks. But that last week, there were no work boundaries. I was working all the time, and my family knew that. And so that is something that's super huge, though. Set your business hours. Be clear on when they are, and express that to your family, because they need to know, your roommates, or whoever that will impact, your friends. If you're skipping out on thirsty Thursdays, or is that even a thing people do? So I did in college, but like if you're skipping out on those things, let them know, so they don't think you're just like being a snob and ignoring them. So, okay, that's my very first thing, is treat your business with the integrity that you would treat your full-time job. The second thing is set huge goals and be willing to fail at them. And then also / fail forward. And so I think that this is huge, because I have seen so many women and men set a huge goal or a goal, not hit it, and then quit. And I don't say that because I think that that's what you should do at all. I don't. I think you should get comfortable with not hitting your goals. It doesn't mean that you failed, right? It just means that you made progress towards it, and you will continue to work towards that goal. There are so many wins along the way. And I always use the example of a baby. So when we have a baby, or you're a baby, you have to learn to eat, you have to learn to crawl, you have to learn to walk, you fall down multiple times, but you get back up and you try again. And as a child, we aren't like, oh, I failed, I'm just going to quit. Like, you don't just stop and never walk, right? You get back up and you try again. But somewhere along the line in life, we lose that. We think like failure is this awful thing. And, if we don't do exactly what we put out to do from day one, we should just quit and not try. And I speak from experience. Like, I did that so much of my not even adult, middle school, high school, and then into my adult life. Like, I quit running a race on my track team in high school. And I never thought about this until I started to do personal development, right? But I quit running because a younger girl came in and beat me. And that was a cycle that I started to live in through my adult life. And gosh, I could go on about uncovering blocks and things from your childhood because it impacts your life so much as an adult. That's like a whole nother training. And that's like my counselor coming into play because I truly believe that. But I did find myself living in that cycle. I would be afraid to go for something big because I was afraid I wouldn't hit it. And then I would fail. And then I would have that label. And so I really had to work through that and start to think differently and think that, you know what, I'm always going to set a huge goal. Last year, my goal was to be a 10-star, and the year as a 10-star diamond. We ended the year as a 5-star diamond elite team. And I was pretty damn thrilled about that. This year, my goal was to hit 15-star. I will never stop saying I'm going to be a 15-star diamond until I'm a 15-star diamond. And if we don't hit it, which really, it's not an option, we're going to do it. But if we don't, gosh, there's so many, like, it's not going to be a failure. It's just going to be progress towards that, right? You have to think of it that way. You have to think of, if you try a group and it bombs and nobody shows up in it, it's just a learning experience. Look at what happens, change it up, and try something new. That's all you can do in this business. And I swear that if you just continually change, continually try, you will have success. My coach always says that oftentimes you're 1% off. Like there's one tiny little thing that if you just tweak it, everything starts to make sense. And maybe that's like a mental block that you have. Maybe it is just how, like, if you just tweak your invites a little bit or change them up a little bit, or maybe change, like Micah Folsom. Did you guys watch the National Wake Up Call today? I love her anyway, but like, she's like how she was speaking about inviting was just perfection. And I love what she said. Like, you have to figure out what works for you and then stick to that. Like, don't feel like you have to change for everyone else because somebody said this is the best way or somebody said that. You have to figure out what works for you. Make those little tiny changes, and something will eventually start to work if you're feeling stuck. But it's not you're not failing. It's not failing as a bad thing. You're just learning from the things that you're doing, from the different tasks you're doing, from, the different groups you're running. You're just learning along the way. Okay. Sorry, I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything there in my notes. So, and then the third thing that I have that I think is the biggest thing of all. And so I'm going to go back to my story. Give me 1 second. I need a drink. Have you guys tried this hibiscus? You guys like sparkling water? The hibiscus LaCroix. Is that how you say it? LaCroix? I don't know. It's so good. Anyway, okay, moving on. Try it if you haven't. The third thing. So I want to go back to my story. So I was a school counselor. I was working there. My daughter, was, by the time I was really into coaching, she was 3. And I knew at that point I wasn't going to be able to be home with her before she went to kindergarten. And it kind of hurt my heart a little bit, but I also, I'm not going to lie, I'm just not a stay-at-home mom. Like, I would probably rip out my hair. I love her, but like part-time, I could have done part-time. Full-time, I don't think I ever could have done it. I needed my own thing. And so as much as I didn't want to miss out on her life, I knew realistically and financially, I needed to put some time into building my business. And so from that point, it was about 2.5 years. And until she went to kindergarten. And so I was like, you know what? My goal is to put her on the school bus. And so it became my hashtag school bus dream. And that is what I wrote that in my gratitude journal every morning as if it was happening. Those were affirmations I had, that I was home to put her on the school bus every day. And I was going after that. And that was just a day that I was not going to be I was not going to go to work. It was like it was the line in the sand. And I always say, when you have goals in this business, when you finally really, really, really draw that line in the sand, that's when you make things happen. Rank advancing, income goals, volume goals, whatever it is, success club goals. When you set a non-negotiable for real, not just say, I'm going to do it, but you aren't committed to it. When you really damn set that goal, you're going to do it. So that was I drew a line in the sand. This is when I'm going to put in my resignation for my school counseling job to be home so that I don't miss out on my daughter's life. I want to put her on the school bus every single day. At that point in time, well, let's go about a year forward. I still have it in my phone. I kept a list in my phone of everything I missed. Okay. It was called Reasons to Work Harder. I wrote, and it wasn't just about things I missed with my daughter, but it was about things I was just so damn sick of from my bosses, from the system I was working in. The traffic, the commute, all the things, anything you could think of. I missed her kindergarten registration because I got stuck in traffic on the highway, and I just I had to have looked insane, screamed and cried, why am I missing this? I was so upset. But there were things like that I kept a list of. And when I had a day that I was like, you know what? I do not feel like sending invites today, I made myself pull that up. Because when I looked at that list of things that I missed out on, there was no way in hell that I wasn't going to show up in my business that I was building to have freedom to be there for her. So my number 3 item, top tip, is that you have to have a vision that makes you show up, especially when times are hard, especially when you don't want to. My vision right now is different because you know what? I put in my resignation August 1st, a year and a half ago, when my daughter went to kindergarten. And now I drive her little punk ass to school every day because she doesn't like the school bus. Like what? Like really, go figure. I had a school bus dream, not to drive her to school every day. But it ended up happening. And that vision, that list, I had a vision. I read it every morning. I knew that hashtag I had, that was something that was non-negotiable for me. And I knew it was going to happen. And I held it and I held on to it. And like I said, every morning when I did that gratitude, I had my vision written out too. If I was sitting at my desk, I'd pull it up and show it to you. And I read through it every single morning. And so you have to, out of all these things, yes, you have to treat your business with integrity, and you have to get used to failing because everyone fails. I mean, our top coaches fail all the time, but they just continue to push, right? But you have to have a vision that makes you show up. That's bigger than all of the other things. The vision, I love vision work. I think it's so important. And I think that I got to go to leadership in Arizona this past fall. My coach took me. It was before we were an elite team and I qualified to go myself. And it was the most amazing experience. So Summit's great. Get to Summit, get to New Leader Conference, hit 1-star, get to New Leader Conference. They're amazing. But damn, was leadership powerful. It was so amazing. It was the best experience I've ever had as far as a professional and a business goes. It was so cool. But somebody said that when coaches come to them as a leader and say, I'm not sure that I want to do this, or I'm not showing up, or life's been really busy, it's been hard for me. They said we can be oh, that's an excuse, blah, blah, blah. But really their vision is blurry. That's what that means. So I came back from there, and my team can probably vouch for that. I was like, okay, what's your vision? Everyone's doing vision, because it was so true. And it's that so much for me. Anytime that and there haven't been many times like that, but there have been a couple times that I have been feeling I don't know, what am I doing? It always comes to that. It always comes that I'm disconnected from my vision, or I need to revisit it, because my vision that I wrote 4 years ago is totally different than the vision that I have now. My vision's bigger and crazier now than I ever thought it would be, but I know it's possible because I've seen what can happen when you have it, when you hold it out there and you work for it and you show up every day. And so vision is huge. And if you don't have your vision written out, you have to do that. You have to do it tonight. Sit down and write out what you want your life to be. I wish I had the wording, but I think it was Kim Fitzpatrick or somebody said you have to write it out if there were no, like if there was no worry, no financial worries, no worries at all, you could do anything in your life, you know, like what would it be? What would your life look like day to day? And so I rewrote my vision a couple weeks ago, and it's totally different than it was when I wrote it 4 years ago. And it should be, right? We should all have growth. But the other piece that I think is super important to that is that we can't just have a vision and keep it to ourselves. When I said that I had this school bus dream, I told my coach that. And anytime I was like slacking or like wanted to complain, she'd be like, yeah, but you have your school bus dream. And I was like, you're right, I do. So tell your accountability partners that. More than anyone, tell your spouse that, especially if they aren't quite on board with this business. You need to tell them that, and then you need to prove to them that you're going to achieve it. You need to do all the damn work so that you can prove them wrong, right? But you need to share it. Just like I said, you need to share what you're doing in your business and your hours. You need to share your vision with your family so they understand why you're working hard. You need to share it with your friends. You need to share it with the people, you know, that you surround yourself with. And the one last thing I wanted to add with that, because everyone always thinks this is interesting, not interesting, amusing. I had, if I was at my desk, I'd pull it out again, but like I said, my life's crazy right now. I have this picture of this giant diamond. It's like this big. And then I drew 15 black stars around it. And then I have this house, this beautiful house, like in the country. And then this beach house, right? These 3 separate pictures. And I printed them off when I was working in cyber school, and I had them hanging in my cubicle. And I had them hanging, I think I had like some in my car somewhere, but I definitely had them hanging in my house, in my kitchen, before we did any of this renovation, my little old kitchen. And they were literally taped to the wall. And so anytime anybody walked in the back door, they could see this giant diamonds and these 2 big, ridiculously beautiful houses, right? And people would always comment, and like my husband was so embarrassed about it. He was like, I can't believe you're taping that to the wall. And I was like, I don't care. That's my vision board, right? And so anytime anybody came into my house, they'd crack a joke like, oh, is that your dream house? Oh, is that your beach house? I'd be like, yeah, it is. And so, and you're gonna come visit me at it someday, you know, like that type of stuff. But what's really crazy is that now, no, my house from the outside isn't quite that picture, but this house that we've remodeled and we've built is that, it's that house. Do you know what I mean? Like, no, I don't have the beach house yet, but it's coming. And that diamonds, I fill in anytime I have a new woman on my team who hits diamond, I fill in those little stars around it. And so I still have it. It's on my vision. It's like up on my desk, and I will continue to have it until all those stars are filled in. And we are a superstar team. And I have the beach house that I can have my retreats at and not have to find somebody else's house, right? Like those are the things that I will have there, and I'll share them and I'll put them out there because I have the belief that this business can provide them to me. And I don't care if somebody thinks I'm crazy. I don't really, I don't struggle with that. I'm very, put it all out there. So that vision though, you have to connect to the vision, have to connect to your vision, your reason, your why, whatever you want to call it, but being able to write it out very clearly so that you can picture it and you can feel it. The feeling part of it is super important too. So those are my big 3 things. I'm going to stop there. Like I said, I have the social media stuff, but like, I always feel like it doesn't really tie in, and I'd rather just like, let, you know, if anybody has questions or anything, I'd rather kind of go there. So you tell me what you want me to do.
That was amazing. I just want to that was just incredible. I'm so glad that you did share your story. Because like I know there are some teachers on here. I think there's a lot of people like in healthcare, but we really do have like quite a big mix. Are most of your team like teachers?
No, we're kind of a variety of
Yeah.
like,
But I
yeah.
don't think it matters. What you said in the beginning, oh my God, so I'm running a sneak peek this week, and I was just sharing my story yesterday, and something that I, talk about all the time is, and I just said it again today, I was talking about just like the time that this business really takes. When I was working full time versus now doing this full time, it really hasn't changed, right? I really still have to have that integrity and have that structure with my business, and so it really doesn't, you're right, it doesn't, we could spend 24 hours a day, right? We could, and we would probably be doing just random crap that probably isn't gonna, make a huge difference, right? We could find things to do, but the things that I knew were gonna move my business forward, and I don't know, like, I wish I could remember like the aha moment that I had that made me realize this was like getting in those invites, doing those follow-ups, and getting that done and out of the way before I walked out the door. Because like you, I just, I think we all have to, doesn't matter what our job is, it doesn't matter where we're at, we all have priorities. And like for me, I was very much the same way. Like I wanted to be able to unplug in the evening. I wanted to come home from work and I wanted to be done. I wanted to be able to relax and have that quality time, because that was something even before coaching that I lacked with my spouse. Was really being able to have that unplugged time, and coaching made me more intentional in every area of my life. So I just love that piece that you said about having integrity with your business. And it's so true. Like, are you treating this like a business? Are you showing up to it like you do your job? Because nobody comes to our house and like makes us get up and go to work, right? Like nobody tells us, makes us do that. But you're right. It's like just knowing like that we like have to clock in and we have to clock out, and we're going to get a paycheck, and our,
Yep.
all that depends on it. It's like we put it on a pedestal even, but like, and I think one of the things that, I think our team struggles with, or just, I feel like some people struggle with this, is like maybe they don't have that vision of, or know right now that this is something they want to do full time. But I challenge that to just like what you said, like it doesn't have to be that you want to do this full time. Maybe it's just like you really, really want to be able to have that freedom to go purchase whatever house that you want to purchase, like you don't want to have to worry about money, or you want to take vacations, or you want to like do whatever. Like I feel like, we all have some sort of vision for why we want to do this,
Yeah. Yeah, I think everyone is definitely totally different. I mean, I know something that I struggled with whenever I first started was that when I very first started, it took me a little bit. And I wasn't like my first few months, I wasn't consistent. I wasn't showing, like, I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. Like I always say, I have this beautiful onboarding, like training website for anyone who joins our team. I didn't have that. Like, I didn't know what to do. Like I had like a 5-day, like 5 posts, new coach training academy. And then they were like, go figure it out, basically.
Yeah.
And so it took me a little while, and I don't know when my aha moment was either, but it was a couple months in. I think it was probably, I started in November. I think it was probably January. And I think honestly, it probably came to be with some sort of having success with New Year's resolution crew, and being like, whoa, I just made, $800. Like, how the hell did I do that? Like, this is pretty cool. But realizing that that wasn't going to continue unless I actually did the work. So that's when I started to show up. And, something I heard recently, I'm sure everyone has heard it, but every time I hear it, I'm like, yeah, like if you kind of sort of show up, or you kind of sort of work, then you kind of sort of get those results. It's the same thing with health and fitness, like if you show up every day and do your workout, but eat like I have been lately, we don't have a kitchen. It's been awful. which is an excuse. I'm telling myself, I know it's an excuse, but still, you don't see results. Like you kind of sort of do it, you kind of sort of results. The same thing with the business. And so when you realize that you have to treat it with integrity, one thing that I did that I know was huge for me and huge, that really got me to be consistent if you struggle with consistency, is I made a Google sheet and I put my name on it and I gave it access to my entire team. And I said, I'm tracking in here every day. And you guys should too. Here, I made you to tab. And I don't think anybody else ever tracked in it, but I was like, damn, they can watch what I'm doing. So I needed that added accountability because I was just starting and I wasn't sure what I knew what I needed to do. I knew I needed to invite, I knew I needed to follow up, but I knew I needed some help with that consistency in the beginning. And I honestly, I don't run my business like I did 4 years ago. I don't have to run it as showing, like inviting. I invited 10 to 20 people a day every single day. I don't do that anymore. I run things differently because I'm home full time. So I can mass invite one day and I can do follow-ups a day, but I still track in that sheet. I still track in it. And I tell my husband to check in on me. I'm like, check this when you get home, because I can do the laundry and, well, right now I can't. I don't have washer and dryer. So that's another fun thing. Don't get me started. But you can get so sidetracked with stuff, especially when you have more time and more freedom. So I have to figure out a way to hold myself accountable even. So I still, like 4 years in, like I know what I need to do and I do my work, but I still need to kind of find a little bit of accountability some way, to make sure that I show up. Because really you don't need 8 hours to work in this business. You don't. I mean, unless you have plans to be, number one. If you want to shoot straight to the top, then you probably do need to be working 8 hours, 16 hours, crazy hours in this business. But that isn't what that's not what my goals were. And it wasn't something. Some people are willing to sacrifice the time with their families short term. My coach says that she worked all the time and she was in her first year or two. And she was willing to do that because she knew that putting in all that work, that legwork in the beginning, would help to build her to be successful. And she says she has like a, what they call it, a well-oiled machine, like her business pretty much runs on its own. And so she was willing to put in the 16-hour days and miss out on family events and things like that. And I've always said, that's not something I'm willing to do. I'm not willing to do that. So if it took me a little bit more time to get to where I want to be, that's fine. So you have to be honest with yourself. Like if you have a goal to be number one coach and you're working 1 hour a day, that's not going to work. If you want to leave your job in 2 years, you have to sit and think about how much time you're putting into your business, what your outcome is, if it's matching, where you want to be in 2 years. You can't just kind of like guess and be like, yeah, well, if I work like 1 day today and 2 days next week, like maybe that'll be enough. You know what I mean? You have to really think about like what your goals are and if your efforts matching, matching the outcome that you need. So,
Yeah. And I think the other thing that I really I forget who I heard it from, but I really think a lot of ahas came to me between January and March of 2018. January is when I really it's when I really started to take this seriously. It was when I went to my first live event. I don't know. I think it was just hearing other people's stories, and hearing like what they were doing and just how, and like stupid little things. Like I was engaged at the time and like someone, a local teacher like stepped up and said how he was a diamond coach and she was paying for her videographer for her wedding and stuff like that. And I just realized like I am not dreaming big enough, like I am playing so small with this business. Like I hadn't really given myself permission to think, what would I do? Like, what would my life look like if I had all the choices, like in this next year, right? Like, where would I want to end 2018? Where would I want to be, in a year from now, 2 years from now? And then, March came along and I got in my first like push group, I realized, if I want to do this, then I need to like at least hit diamond, right? And I think it was Danielle and Tony, like where they said that their only superpower was consistency. Like they showed up every single day, they did the things every single day, they hit Success Club every single month. They like, it was just like compound effect, like if you show up and do the things will come. And that just like clicked with me, I think. Like that if I just show up, if I just commit to showing up and being like relentless in this, like if I just like do the things over like consistently and I no bullshit, then the goals that I have will come. They will happen. Like they have to. Just like you said, like I don't know when. Like I keep putting 15-star diamond on my vision board too. Like I had a goal of like 10-star diamond last year, and like, did I hit it? No. But you're right. Like I landed higher than I would have if I had aimed lower.
Yeah, for sure.
So much, that we have to have these visions, and we have to like just have these big goals, because otherwise it's like we don't rise up to our potential.
Mm-hmm.
And like I really feel the personal development side of this is so important. I'm rereading Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, and it's so funny how you take away things like so differently, like when you are, just at different phases of your life and business, and when you like hear or meet something. But basically, like we are all like here. We aren't meant to play small. We were meant to, like you said with the kid thing, like we are meant to like be creative and to do things and explore and just like constantly just be moving and adapting and growing. Like we're not meant to just be like run of the mill, show up, be a robot, get your paycheck, all that stuff. Like I don't know. I truly think that my life became more meaningful when I started doing this, because I realized just how much more I was actually capable. It was like I tapped into what I was actually capable of, and I really realized how I was giving like my life the bare minimum. I was giving my relationships the bare minimum, myself the bare minimum, and just living the bare minimum when I really had so much more out there to attain and give and accomplish. So I don't have I feel like I had some questions for you, but I would love to like if anyone has any questions for you to just unmute yourself and ask. um I don't know, I feel like you kind of nailed it. Like I just think, I don't know, I feel like everyone just has to choose. I feel like it's a decision. It's a personal decision to just choose to see this business as a business, and treat it like such. Because bottom line is like we all have to figure out like our own boundaries. We all have to figure out our own rhythm. Like it's so hard, I think, to explain to people how to set those boundaries and how to make this work, because it's not my life, right? It's like I can't tell you what's you're willing and willing not to do. Like I knew like I had to get up an hour early. Like bottom line, I was willing to sacrifice my mornings and sacrifice some sleep to get that stuff done, because I just knew like without a doubt that I couldn't predict anything else throughout my day.
Yeah.
So I had to create that certainty. I had to create that like, intentional time. And I say it all the freaking time. I feel like I was so like got on point when I was like busy. I'm kind of wondering and hoping, like not hoping, but kind of wondering what will happen when I'm a mom, because I feel like I'm going to be forced into that situation again. So anyway, but we all go through seasons. Yeah. Like,
Yeah, it
sure.
definitely does. And it changes, I mean, like now my daughter knows what nights do I have calls.
Monday and Thursday.
Yeah. So like Monday and Thursday are my nights. My team knows I don't work other nights of the week unless it's like a dire situation or we're pushing, you know, like for a big goal or something.
Yeah, but on my birthday, she did Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah, I didn't work on her birthday. It was a Thursday. So, right. You're cute. So yeah, I mean, I let them know that though, you know, it's not like they guess. She knows she's 7. It's not like she's, you know, 15, but she knows that Monday nights are my team calls and Thursday nights, not every Thursday, but most Thursdays I either have mentor calls or we do a power hour or I might have like a leadership call or, you know, push, I don't know. There's just random other things that we do on Thursdays. So you know, that has changed. That wasn't something that I worked a lot around probably 9 o'clock before I left my job. I would kind of tune in maybe for another hour or so. Because this child still sleeps in our bed the majority of the time. So yeah, she's 7.
And half of it is because my room.
Well, right now it's a different story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Her room's full of junk because of the house renovation. Yeah. But so, you know, it wasn't like I put my kid to bed and then had like multiple hours afterwards. It's never been the case with her. She's never gone to bed at 7 o'clock. I don't know how people get their children to do that. Good for you if you do. That. So I mean, you have to, you know, everything changes, business changes. And yeah, I mean, I will say like I said, that first, I don't know, few months it took me to get to understand the business. But then about is Amy on here? Amy, her pictures, she's here, but she's not on. But like Amy is one of my coaches. She's I can't, here, sit with the dog. Dog's here too, they followed me. So she, her son's being crazy, she said. So Amy's been a coach on my team for almost 2 years now. And it was about that time, so I've been a coach for 4 years. It was about that time when she joined that I was rebuilding. And so I had hit diamonds. I'd stayed at diamond for like a year. And I was just dragging people. I'm like looking back, I was just like, come on, you know, you want to, like my cousin was a coach, like I made her be a coach. I was just pulling people along and I got to a point where I just knew that I couldn't do that anymore. And I didn't want to do that. It doesn't feel good to like feel like you have to like talk people into it. And so I did a lot of personal development. I just dove into it and I just knew and I believed that I was going to find this amazing team. And then Amy was Hillary was there too, but Hillary's was kind of taking a break from coaching at that point in time. Amy came on and she found this passion that I was looking, like I just wanted to find somebody else who got the passion, you know? I didn't want to have to like drag anyone into it anymore. I wanted people to find the passion themselves. like it's so amazing. Why don't other people think it's as amazing as I do? And then Amy joined, and then literally like these other women who are on this call, and there's many more that aren't on the call tonight, but they all just started to like come into my life. And I was like, they get it. Like, it's so cool. But it didn't happen. It didn't happen for almost 2 years until I really started to find, as that's my social media training, is like, how do you find your people? And my coach says, like, you're really good at finding your people. Sometimes I don't know how, but I really truly believe that when you do that gratitude and you just believe that's going to happen, you have a vision that you're going to find your people. And you know, I'm very much into like trusting in the universe and putting my goals out there and believing that they are going to hear them and it's going to happen. And I don't think it's just magical. I work my ass off for them, but I do think that's a huge piece of it. And I think that that's how I found all these women. I know that most of you probably didn't follow like us at all, but we had a diamond retreat in November and we put on like a serious dance off with my coach and her upline my coach and her team had a retreat in Florida, and we decided to do our own retreat this year. So it was my first retreat that I held, and Hillary and Kristen and Amy were there, and we had like a massive dance off, and Hillary just so happened to have like multiple hot dog costumes and a bear costume and random stuff in her car, because that's Hillary. And we like danced in costumes and made the most epic dance video. You guys can find it on my Instagram page. And my coach still to this day was like, everybody at the retreat, like they had done a video and we shot one back with these costumes, and they were like, "You're in the middle of the woods. Like, how did you find those costumes?" And Ashley had said, I said, "It's because she has her people." It was Hillary. It's Hillary's costumes. But we had done a Spice Girls dance off the night before that too. So it's fun. Like, it makes the business a million times like more exciting and fun when you find the women, you know, that get it, that have the same fire that you do, you know, and love how it feels to help people to change their lives, because that's what it's all about. But I share that because, you know, I remember feeling like, where are my people? And I think that people feel like that for a little while. So you get the traction and you get the belief in yourself that and believe that your people are out there, and you just haven't quite found them yet, or they're coming to you. And when they start to, it's so incredible. It's such a, like, I love helping challengers and my clients to get results, but now I've kind of shifted in that I love even more to have women join my team and be able to mentor them to have successful businesses. Like, that is where my heart really, you know, gets full now. So I still, obviously, like, really the best transformations that I have from clients are from my coach, who are my coaches now, you know, because they get it. We get that. So anyway, that's just a little, I don't know what pulled me to that, but apparently I felt like I needed to share it. So
No, it was perfect. Thank you so much. So I won't keep you any longer, and thank you all for just hopping on tonight. And Natasha, thank you so much for sharing everything, your story, all of your wisdom and your tips. I know I took a lot away, and I know that I think everyone else did too. So
thanks
thank
for
you.
having me.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.